The season for us in a lot of different ways. We did a lot of small things. I think we shared the ball really well, especially in that first half. We didn't make as many shots as we wanted to, but we were getting a lot of extra passes that were leading to really good shots. Even that last, Michi makes a pass to, I think it was Zach on the last possession in the first half for a wide open three, and he could have shot it himself. So I love to see that kind of unselfishness. It's hard to balance unselfishness and aggression at the same time. And so we've shown the signs at practices that we have the guys that have the makeup that will do that. A lot of it's what you want to do, and so they have done that. But thought it was a really good experience for us. We have a lot of guys that are in a new position or, playing more than they've ever played, starting when they've never started. We're in high school last year, playing a completely different position. That's everybody on our whole team, honestly. And so I thought the guys handled it really well overall. So really pleased with what we did.
Questions? We'll go David and back up.
Lamont, it's an exhibition game. I know you can't take a lot of it too seriously, but what do you think are the hallmarks of this program that you'll see every night that were on display tonight? What were some of those that you saw?
Yeah. It's always funny. They say you can't take it too seriously unless you come out and lose by 5. Then it's really serious, right? But there were some good things defensively in the second half. The first half, I just didn't think we were as consistent with some things that are decisions, just decisions you have to make. And I thought we didn't make the decision that we wanted to, or we've practiced doing as many times in the first half as we did in the second half. So I think that's going to be a calling card for us. I thought we switched at some times that I thought were the exact right time to do it. We do matchups for a reason, and so we like to keep those as much as we can, but we switched when it made sense, complete sense too, so I was really happy with that. But we shared the ball. I think that's going to be a calling card for us. We tried to get out in transition at times, and I think that'll be a thing. Opportunistic, fast break basketball, that's what I like to do. You can't force it if it's not there and they're back, they're back. But I think it's easier to believe in that if you know you're going to be pretty efficient offensively, that you don't have to, then you're going to take it when you get it and not try to force it. But hopefully the turnover situation wasn't characteristic of what we're going to be as players. We had a lot in the first half especially, but I think those are some of the basic things that you can hopefully look forward to us doing on a consistent basis.
Emily in the middle.
Hey, Coach.
Hello.
I know defense is kind of your calling card, so I'm just curious how you felt about how they executed the defensive system tonight. Gigi talked a little bit about them getting beat one-on-one, so just how do you kind of polish up some of those things heading into first game?
Yeah, I thought that was a big part of what they did in the first half. I think they only maybe had 21 or whatever they had in the first half, so it's hard to say, well, you weren't doing what you wanted to do defensively. But there were some times where we had just some breakdowns in individual defense, right? Like that shouldn't happen in some of those. I really challenged Daniel in one situation because, the dust had all settled. They ran a play, the dust had all settled, we're back to a man on a man, and they just beat us off the dribble. They beat us baseline a couple times, which we try to limit as many times as they can. So I think it was some of it coming out. Again, we got so many guys that this was the first real actual game type situation for them. And so it sounds great. Hey, we're going to come out and guard these guys all night. That sounds great, but that's not what you're thinking about when you're their age. I promise you it's not what you're thinking about. So I think a lot of it was just that, was the emphasis that they individually were putting on what we wanted to get done defensively.
I know Hayden was kind of banged up and didn't play tonight, but you started Daniel and you started Benjamin there. What did you see to put them in a starting lineup, even if it is an exhibition? How do you feel like they played?
Yeah, we had started Zach, I think it was in the scrimmage, our secret scrimmage. I'm letting secrets out, but I thought this was, and there were a couple things, particularly defensively, that he struggled with early on. It was his first real live competition against somebody else, and he's gotten better since and will continue. But I thought Daniel was really physical in that scrimmage too. And at this level, that's a big part of it. Some guys this guy might be more talented, that guy might be more skilled, but when you get in the throes of it and it's a mosh pit in there, sometimes the more physical guy is going to look like a better player for the situation. And so I just thought it made sense for us to do that. But he's been productive as a rebounder. Daniel, that is, has been really rebounding the ball well. He's a confident guy. I want him to be aggressive. He's going to be another guy that one day I envision him being able to affect the game offensively in a lot of different ways. And so I don't ever want him to lose his aggressive mode. And so, but he's been good with that. Hayden will be back some point soon. My guess is that if we had to play South Carolina State in 3 days, that he would be able to play if we really needed him to. Whether that's best for him in the long term, we'll figure that out by next Tuesday. But I anticipate him being back at some point really soon.
Hey, Lamont, just to kind of piggyback off of his question about the lineup, I mean, seeing the personnel that we saw tonight, the starters tonight, is that sort of indicative of maybe what we can expect once the regular season starts? Is there still some experimentation on your part there? And then just secondly, is there any update you have on Javon Benson? Notice he didn't play tonight as well.
So I think we're still in what you labeled experimentation mode to some degree. I like to call it learning. I'm still learning who's going to interact well with whom while they're out there in a real, actual game. Who can play? I looked at one of my assistants today, and I said 3 minutes. And that was the first time I knew for a fact that this particular player, 3 minutes was his deal. I saw his tongue starting to hang on the ground at that point. So he was tired. So you're learning those things. Who can play for how long? Who plays more effectively, again, with whom? And then making your rotations from then. It'd be nice when you have a full complement of everyone that you can then really start to experiment and learn more. But Javon Benson will be back really soon. He was out for coach's decision, but he'll be back. He'll be back ready. We're off tomorrow. We'll practice Friday, so he'll practice Friday and be available from here on out.
Alex, on the right here.
Seems like you guys had a pretty good night on the boards. Just kind of what did you see from your team in that aspect?
Yeah, we've tried to emphasize that. I mean, we're not going to consistently have this much of a size advantage, so that certainly helps in terms of rebounding. But we also did some good stuff. We blocked out effectively. Josh Gray in particular, he had 2 really good blockouts that one yielded a foul on their guy and another one they tipped it out of bounds and we ended up getting it after he blocked out really well. So I don't want to attribute it completely to the fact that we were bigger. Benjamin Bozeman's Verdonk had a great, we call it weak side wedge on the backside for an offensive rebound. It was textbook. In fact, we'll have to put that in the archives. But he was really good with that. So it was a combination of a lot of things. One was size, but 2 was technique, right, and commitment to blocking out and making moves. And the third part was just making an effort to the offensive glass. So, they don't just fall into your lap. You got to go pursue them, and we did. Thought we did a really good job.
Alan on the left.
Hey, Coach. Chico Carter Jr. did a little bit of everything tonight. Hit some threes. He drove baseline a couple times. Drew a charge, I think. What can he do for this team and kind of a little bit of everything, I guess?
Yeah, that charge I was fired up on that charge. Yeah. We've been trying to get one of those for a long time. That was our first one. So now we'll have it on tape. People will see what it looks like live. And hopefully that'll end up being a weapon for us. But Chico's been really consistent since he's improved so much. And some, I hate to call them bad habits. They were habits that were different than the habits that I've grown accustomed to seeing for teams that win a lot of games. And so he's been really, really, really good at being committed to changing some things, and he's talented. He can make shots. He plays at a pace where he can play off the shot fake. That yielded him a wide open layup today. We skipped it. Great skip. I can't remember who it was, but great skip to the weak side. They closed out of control. He shot faked it and danced all the way to the rim for a layup. He makes some good passes most of the time. He's a pretty versatile guy, and he's trying really hard defensively. I give him a lot of credit, ton of credit, to be 100% frank with you.
Amanda in the back.
Hey, Coach. I know it's an exhibition. Again, we can't take it too seriously, but is there a certain tone that you wanted to set in this exhibition, and how well did you execute setting that tone?
Yeah, I talked to the guys one of the last things I said before we went out on the court for the first half was you have to establish who you are, how you're going to play, what you're going to be about. I think the sooner you can really do that, and you can't do it, it doesn't happen because we had one exhibition game and now we've established who we are. At the same time, I don't think I hope you're not establishing who you are on, and again, arbitrary date, January 20th. I hope that's not when you're establishing who you're going to be as a team. So but it starts now, and I thought we did a good job of that. Even down to in terms of how we communicate with each other. That's for young people today. It's a real thing. How do you present information to people, and then how do you accept information that's presented to you? And so I thought we did a good job overall of establishing who we're going to be. I thought it was a first step. Again, it's not done after today. I don't think anyone's going to say, oh wow, these guys are guys that are going to score 80 and give up 40, whatever it was, right? But I do think we laid a very good preliminary foundation as to what it's going to look like for us.
All right, we got time for a couple more. David on the left, and then Colin.
Lamont, does Michi have a too far range? It looks like he's got the green light to shoot from anywhere. I think he tossed up a couple of 40-footers out there.
Yeah, he did. Yes, what's the question again? That's a good observation. Yeah, his range is not my range. I was toes on the line guy, right? He's not toes on the line guy, but he's got some guys have range like that. They do, and I don't know if it's necessarily strength. I've seen some really strong guys that don't have range like that, but he's got really good range. I just keep encouraging him not to play to that, right? Don't come out of the gate and I'm going to limit myself to shooting these bombs. Let's not play to the logo. That's a thing now, right? They're doing it. They call it that in the NBA. Logo. It's a logo three. Like, holy smokes! But I don't want you to play to the logo shot. But sometimes that's going to be what's available. And I'm just a guy, honestly, if you've proven that you can do something, well, then why wouldn't I have you doing that in the game? I just think it makes sense. So that's a shot that he can make. And so certainly he is allowed, terrible terminology, but he's allowed to shoot that shot, And then he knows how to rein himself back in if he misses it or whatever, and it's situational, but he has tremendous range.
Lamont, you kind of talked about there not being done, laying the foundation as you go into things start to count next Tuesday. What are one or two things you'd like to see this team improve on and get better at it in practice before that opener?
Well, everything, honestly. But defensively, I would say just for us, some of the things that are important are making some defensive reads on the fly and trying to create indecision in the offense by making these decisions. Now, some of these decisions, there's a little gray area in some of these decisions, and if you do it properly, it leads to more indecision by the offense and uncertainty. So constantly, we go rep after rep after rep, trying to simulate these situations over and over again, and try to make the right decision as many times as you can. And it never fails. There's going to be some gray area, and you're going to do the wrong thing, but you can get to a point where rarely are you doing that. And today we made a lot of the decisions. When I talked about us making some of these switches, it's not clear cut. It's not when he screens, it's definitely a switch. That's not the way we do some of it. There's some decision that's involved, which leads to the communication that has to happen. You have to recognize some things really early, and so I thought we did a really good job of that. But we're going to have to keep on continuing to improve in that, because as the talent gets better, the speed and size of guys and the pace of which they're making those decisions, it shortens, and so we have to continue to get better at that. That's one thing. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing, and then performing. We're always trying to improve as performers out there. I talked to the guy. I know I'm going over, but there's playing well, and then there's performing well. We talk about this, and playing well oftentimes involves what you decide to do. I shared. I brought the ball here. I executed the play as we were supposed to. I did the things that we practiced. That's playing well, regardless of where the ball goes in or not. You look at Tiger Woods, and sometimes you hear what he talks about. It's like, hey, I played really well today. He managed the course. He took all the factors in he needed to. He hit the right shots. He went for it when he needed to and played up when he needed to, but he didn't make putts, and so he didn't perform well that day, but he did play well. And so that's what we're after, is to play well. And if you're focused on playing well, circumstances and surroundings and crowd and all that stuff really doesn't affect you. If you're focusing on performing well, all those things are magnified the first time you don't make the first shot that you shoot. So I thought we played well today, performed okay overall, and so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.